What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And thank you, Sheila. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Sheila says, you have a calming voice. Oh, you are so sweet. Thank you so much. You're awesome. So we've got, I know it's a little early for the time I usually go live, but the reason is because I'm planning to hopefully go out tomorrow. So that's kind of why we're doing an early show, is so that way I can prepare, and there's a lot of preparation that goes into getting out there and making sure we have all the right equipment and everything, so we're safe. And so thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch my show. I am Chris with Monsters Under the Bed. I cover murder, mystery to the paranormal, and in all my shows I like to feature missing person cases. And so this one's been a request for me from a family member, so I'm going to do this one. I know I've done this a couple of times, but usually, especially when I get like a request from like a friend or a family member, I try to feature them a couple of times just because it just gives them that little extra hope, So let's get into that, and then we'll talk about today's show. We'll probably go about an hour, maybe hour and a half, because like I said, I got to get ready for hopefully tomorrow's trip. So, alright, so we've got Donald Kelly, who I've featured a couple times now. He was 56. He went missing on March of the 31st from Virginia, 6'3" and 150 pounds. I will get to the donations in just a minute. Thank you guys. You're awesome. Brown hair, and from what I understand, from what they sent me in the emails, they feel like foul play is heavily involved in this. I think he just acquired some money recently before he went missing, and they feel like this is definitely some kind of foul play. So he was last seen driving a red Kia Sportage and has not been in contact with the family since the 31st. He's out that way. Please keep a lookout for Donald. He is 6'3", so he's a tall gentleman, so wouldn't be hard to miss. And he's got a scar on his left cheek there, you can kind of see here. So, alright, let me get, so I don't miss those because it's going really fast. Thank you guys. ST, thank you so much for the $5. You're awesome. And Marco, thank you so much for the $20 super sticker. And Cheryl, thank you so much for becoming a member. And then we've got Brookie, awesome, thank you for the $2. Appreciate all you do and done for the missing. Thank you, Brookie. You're awesome. Thank you guys so much. Like I said, I couldn't get out there and do what I do without the support from you guys. And even for the people that can't donate, just being here and chatting and just taking the time out of your day to watch my show is supports me and everything that I do. So one more, just because since we're talking about Dylan, I always want to feature Aiden because like I said, I've talked with his mother, and hopefully when things kind of die down for what I'm doing with the going out and searching, I'm going to try to have his mother on and hopefully maybe have an interview. So, but this is Aiden Cloon. He went missing on April 27th, just about a month before Dylan. It's about 50 miles south of Wells, Nevada. They believe he was experiencing some paranoia. He was headed to Salt Lake. He's from California, and he was headed to Salt Lake. It was going to stay with his grandmother. And as he was arriving in Salt Lake, he had spoke with his mother and started getting paranoid. And then he ended up going down I-80, which takes you into Wendover, and then stayed the night in Wells, and then left early that morning on the 27th, headed south, and pulled his truck over to the side, and then got out of his truck, and highway patrolman came up shortly after he had exited the vehicle. They tracked him for about 10 miles, but then lost his tracks. So it's kind of a sad situation. I know that they have at least gone out there and looked for him, which is great, because clearly you got two boys that go missing, same age, they look the same, and one gets national attention, the other one doesn't. So I always mention that just because I can't imagine, being the mother and having this. So I always try to keep his name included when we're talking about Dylan. And there's also a $5,000 reward, so keep that in mind. So anybody out that way, keep an eye out for Aiden. And I know maybe it's easier for us to get out there and look for Dylan because we're in Utah. Aiden's a little bit further away. It would take about a good 4 hours just to get out to his last known location. So, but maybe down the road we'll try to get out there. But I'm going to try to at least have his mother on because I feel terrible for that situation. Okay. So, let me clear this real quick here. Just a couple of things. So, before we get going, my 1 year anniversary is coming up. Not being married. My 1 year anniversary being on YouTube is coming up next Monday, the 24th. I cannot believe it. It's crazy. It flew right by. But, so we're going to have a show that Monday, and we're going to have a couple of guests on. And so super stoked, for 1 year, and we hit over 30,000 subs. That's not too bad. Emo Jim, thank you so much for the $50. Thank you, Chris, for trying to find Aiden. Thank you, Emo Jim. Yeah, I always try to keep his name when we're talking about doing rounds together, just because those two poor kids and their mothers. What's up, Doug? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So we're going to have a show this coming Monday. And like I said, I'm going to have a couple guests on. We'll probably talk a little bit about Dylan, but I'm just going to, since it's the 1 year anniversary, just kind of talk about my, where I started. I thought it'd be kind of fun to play one of my first YouTube videos, kind of, to look back on where I started and where I'm at now. It's crazy. I am blessed. I got lucky that I started covering the Guy Tito case, because I don't think I would have been this far without covering that case. But so, all right. So let's get on with it. There's two things. I'm gonna play some drone footage that I've shown before, but I've kind of zoomed in on some areas that I kind of thought were of interest, because it's let me show you on Google Earth here real quick, and then while we're watching this video, I'm going to play just a little bit of the interview from yesterday with Kurt's daughter. There's just a couple of things that she were talking about with Robert that I found interesting that I wanted to play. So, but one of the places, if you catched my last video, so I put out a video yesterday, and it was just our three trips that we went out, and just kind of all the different areas that we've searched. We've been out west, we've been out east, we've been down south. So we've tried multiple different locations. And one that really, piqued our interest when we went out in the second place is what we call the hidden spot, which was those trailers. Obviously, if you've been following my channel, the reason why this spot was of interest is when we first went out there the first time, we ran into some friends of Justin, the father of Dylan, and they had been out there searching. And they had actually came across this place, and they thought it was very suspicious, just because they'd seen a lot of tracks and that were very fresh. Keep in mind, this is only week 2, so some of those tracks could have been still there from a week ago, a week prior, Memorial Week. And of course, they found those trailers that we kind of flew the drone over. And the other thing is, this particular place, let's just say if foul play happened and they took Dylan, and you've got Brenner, and let's say Brenner is involved somehow, and he did have that one trailer that is over here, and let's just say they wanted to dump a body, but they didn't want to get into Montello and have people see, let's say it's Brenner and two other people or one other person. They don't want people seeing them, especially if they're transporting Dylan. And so I kind of thought this would be a target location because you've got these deep washes in here. Just tons of places that you could easily hide a body. So, like I said, we flew our drone over the trailers, but also we flew it in some of these washes here. And so I went back to that drone footage and I zoomed in on some areas because what's interesting about these washes is obviously if it does rain enough, especially on the walls of these washes, you'll get kind of these like landslides. So you could almost kind of put a body up against one of the walls of the wash, and even if you just half buried them and then you had another storm come through, it would change the wash and it would actually just cover more of them up. So that's why I thought we would kind of take a peek at that. While we're doing that, I just thought there was a couple of questions that Zav Girl asked Kurt Wadsworth's daughter that I found interesting. I'm just going to play a couple of those, and then we'll kind of discuss those. So, and then we'll talk about where I'm thinking about going, just in the reason why I want to go to this particular location. So, let's see. Here it is. Okay, so I am going to actually, so you guys can see better. I'm going to clear this out real quick here. Okay, so what I've got because I just took a couple of snippets from Zav Girl's interview. If you want to check out the full interview, obviously I've got it in the description. So shout out to her. There's a lot of people have been doing some amazing interviews. Doug from No Thanks, Zav Girl. Unfortunately, I just haven't had time to have people on. Hopefully soon we'll maybe have some people on to do some interviews. So I'm going to play this while we're watching this zoomed in drone footage from that area that I kind of think is suspicious.
Taken or hurt. There was some reason he was targeted.
What do you think, Sammy? What do you think happened to Dylan?
I've had a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different things.
Okay, just quick context. Sammy is apparently Kurt Wadsworth's daughter. She gets asked a couple of questions. Like I said, there's the interviews over an hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm not sure. I just picked about 3 or 4 questions that I piqued my interest, and I thought it would be something to discuss, especially the question about Robert in this vehicle. I think actually Doug from No Thanks is the one that actually put the question out. I thought it was a great question because I'm curious about that vehicle. Thank you. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's good to see content creators come together than fighting after each other. That's what happened with Summer Wells' case is everybody just started, all the content creators started going after each other, and it just got just too much. So Taylina. Okay, thank you. All right, gotcha. Appreciate that.
From Chase going after him because we knew there was that conversation over the large check that Dylan had got. He's gotten that $33,000 check, and that went into his hands the week before he disappeared. And that conversation, it got talked about right there in the town. And we know that information got back to them. So, that was one of the theories, that Chase had heard that Dylan had gotten all this money. Who's to say he doesn't know Dylan to know if he keeps money on him or not? Mm. So who's to say he didn't go out there to rob him to get money, realized he didn't have any, so he got rid of him.
And I think that's a great motive. I think that's probably the best motive on the table right now as far as what could have happened to Dylan, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, but I think someone hears $30,000 or $33,000, whatever. I think that's a great motive. And then just the context of what you're watching, we are flying towards, this is up here is just the tip of Bald Eagle Mountain, the north tip here, and then you would have like the border kind of about right here. You got the trailers, where are they at? They're about right here. But what I'm interested in is this wash, because like I said, we saw a lot of tracks out here, and yeah, most of them are probably searchers, but you know what? it's wouldn't hurt to take a second peek at it. And yes, whoever asked me, I try to get up to date with everybody's emails. Will if I didn't, I apologize. I will try to. I've been getting emails like crazy, guys. So I apologize if I don't get to everybody's. It has been nuts.
We don't know. That's the thing. I know Jim was mad about things. Jim didn't like the fact that Dylan parked on that property in that shed. Jim would keep the gates locked, wouldn't let Dylan come in, wouldn't let Dylan have a key. So Dylan would take the fence down to get in there. That would also make Jim mad. So was that enough in itself to make Jim mad to want to do something? There was a conversation prior to Dylan going missing about Dylan had told Jim if he didn't stop locking the damn gates that he was going to call the landowner and have him taken off that land so that he didn't have to deal with him anymore. Was that enough of a threat from Dylan that Jim wanted to get rid of him? Don't know.
Okay, so there's going to be a pause in between the questions, just so we can kind of discuss it. So here, as you can see, there's a lot of tracks. One of the things that these guys had noticed is a certain 2 tracks that came out of. So when, like I said, we were out there. This is the first time. So this is week 2 that he'd be missing. And these guys that are friends of Justin, that were out there helping search. There was 4 of them, I believe, and they had some side by sides, and they had a dirt bike, and then obviously a truck and trailer. One of the things that stuck out to them, besides this trailer, are these 2 trailers that they said, had air mattresses that were still full and everything. So clearly people had been squatting in them. Is that they noticed that there was 2 tracks that met up. One was like a quad track and one was like a truck track. And they came from 2 different and like met up. And you can tell these guys kind of knew, because there's tracks all over the place, but to find 2 tracks that kind of like meet up, like they came out and like met up, and now they're gonna like, maybe dispose of something, and that was somewhere, we don't know exactly, but we know it's somewhere around the trailers because that's what they were describing. So that's why I thought it'd be kind of interesting to relook at this footage, because this could have been possibly a spot that if something went down, this is where they could have disposed of something. Maybe even just evidence. Might not even been, Dylan. As you can see, there's definitely some tracks. We were trying to find the tracks that they were talking about. I think they were talking more up here, from what it sounds like. But man, there are a lot of tracks. And then here's the 2 trailers, which we've played a lot. But what I'm interested in is this wash. As you can see, there's a couple of some tracks down in here. You could easily dump a body up along this wall here. Maybe bury it like a few inches. And then if it rained again, as you can see, it kind of just like a mudslide. It just kind of comes down if you got enough. And so...
wow.
Okay.
Thank you, Minnie Collins. About Troy. Yeah, what... Do you know anything about the scratches on Troy's arms, that rumor?
Yeah. He was drunk and riding his 3-wheeler. He thought it was funny to be up on 2 wheels, and he flipped it over on himself. His son was standing right next to him. His son went over, picked it up, and he had scratches down his arms from the gravel. Those look totally different than a nail scratch. Totally different. And I know that some people, which would be my...
Okay. So I paused it there, and I'll keep playing here. So I wanted to talk about that because I've skateboarded for like 12 years, and if there's one thing I know is falling on gravel and what it looks like compared to other scratches. And with a gravel scratch, it's like a big rash. It's almost a mix between a rash and, it more looks like a rash compared to individual nail marks. So let's just say this is true. You would be able to tell a difference between nail scratches and falling on gravel because it just tears like chunks. I mean, I have fallen on gravel I don't know how many times on a skateboard, and you get big rash chunks kind of like taken out on you. So it would definitely be able to tell. It would be nice to see those pictures because I know, it's been brought up early on if these scratches were either nail scratches or from an accident. But I think you would definitely be able to tell the difference between some nail scratches and falling on the gravel, because gravel is going to take a big, wide, thing out of you. So, like a cheese grater. Yeah, pretty much. Man, those ladders are crazy, though. Clearly, those have been there for many, many years. I mean, they're almost kind of buried, kind of. But we're going to take a little peek at just along the walls of these wash here. Keep in mind, Nick is flying this drone from a long way off, and he's afraid he can't go down into the wash itself because he's got to keep line of sight with the drone, or you could lose signal and we could lose our drone. So unfortunately, this is as low as he can go without, possibly losing.
Into an audio when he said they need to check it. It's been sitting in the town this entire time.
Okay.
Robert Aviles.
Okay, this is the big question. This is one of the biggest things. I'm like, oh my gosh, this was a great question, and I think this was by Doug. Very interesting. I'm like, what vehicle hasn't been brought into law enforcement? And I think this is huge right here. Sorry guys, I just don't think his body is anywhere close to the farm. Yeah, Emo Jim. Yeah, I'm going to show you where we're going to be looking, Emo, after this. It's a good possibility. But yeah, where we're going is going to be quite a ways away from the farm.
His mother's car. That is the car that Robert drives. That is the car that we know he gave a ride to Chase in. That is the car that he put gas in on Memorial Day. He came into the little gas station acting very, very fishy. The woman that works there, I've talked to her, and she said she knows he does drugs and he acts a little weird, but she had never seen Robert act the way he was acting. And then about 4 or 5 days later, he tracked her down on Facebook and started asking her, what day was it when I came in and bought gas and paid you with all that change? And started asking some really weird questions, and then admitted to her that he had Chase hiding in that car while he was putting gas in it.
Oh, wow.
Kind of weird.
That is weird.
So we're wondering why that car has never forensically been checked to find out. Because this gal that worked at the gas station actually said to me, I am starting to wonder if they had Dylan in that car on that day also.
Wow.
They were acting very weird. So why has that car not been checked?
Has she said she told the FBI this, right? Did she call this in, or
Police
did
did
anybody?
look at it?
She did. I actually gave her the FBI's number, and I actually told the FBI guy that she would be calling and gave him her number also, so that it went both ways.
God, this thing is crazy. Echo says police did look at it. Yeah, if you can confirm that, that'd be interesting to know. I wonder, now, have they looked at it since this was brought up, or was that looked at and just people didn't know? Do you know that, Echo? I don't want to... I don't know. I'm just learning about this vehicle. I was always wondering what vehicle they've been talking about since the Salty Pancake interview. And I apologize, guys. I definitely can't keep up with everything because there's just been so many interviews. So I apologize if I'm behind on some stuff because it's tough when you have to like plan and get out there and then film, and then you miss a day of all these interviews. And so I try to keep up, but it is tough. And clear this real quick, but that is interesting though, and we'll kind of talk about Chase and Robert's kind of last known where they were at supposedly over this Memorial weekend, because I think it's kind of interesting. But for him to go back and ask if this is true, hey, what time did I go fill up and stuff? Sounds like he's trying to, get an alibi.
They knew that they needed to contact each other.
So yeah, like I said, I kind of zoomed in on some of these walls, and I've got it, tried to get it, it's not 4K quality, but it's 1080p. So, but just thought I would take a little extra look. This area has always been kind of suspicious to me, just because there was a lot of tracks, and yeah, I'm sure most of these are from the searchers. But man, I wish I knew who was out there searching, and I wish I would know, because they say Jim and Don were the first ones to look for Dylan. I would love to know which direction Jim went, to look for Dylan. I would really love to know, because you would think, okay. All right, so yeah, anyway. But anyway, you would think he would go one direction, and he was actually, Dylan was taken in another. So those interviews were from Zav Girl with Kurt's daughter, and like I said, I've got the link in the description if you
Investigate says, does Jim Brenner have a working vehicle, truck, or car?
Oh, this is
He
the
has a
question you
vehicle,
asked. Okay.
but it had an overheating issue.
All right, this is the question Doug asked. I apologize, Doug. I thought it was the Robert one. So this was a great question. This is the question about the situation with Jim and his vehicle. Because there's been talk about he had a truck working, no, it didn't work. And so from what she says is, we'll just play it and then we'll talk
He
about
couldn't drive it for more than 20 minutes and it would overheat.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for the
he
super
made
chat.
very limited trips in that. Most of the time, his truck went from where he was staying over to Don's, and that was as far as it went.
Oh, wait, then how could he have gotten, like, if he did?
Okay, so yeah, I think I clipped it there. Because like I said, I didn't want to take too much from her interview. But that is interesting. If his truck was could only be driven for 10 minutes or whatever, overheat, I think that can exclude that if Dylan was transported, I think you can exclude Jim as far as being the driver or his vehicle being used. And then it comes down to, was Dylan's truck ever actually used, or was it just a setup? And then if, let's say, Dylan's truck wasn't used, then we're kind of crossing people off the list, or at least vehicles. And now you kind of hear about Chase and Robert, who've got this vehicle that they're had some suspicious activity over Memorial Weekend. Kind of makes me wonder. Real quick here. So, all right. So we got 430 votes. Do you think Dylan's truck was staged? And I think it's 70-30. So I think most of you think Dylan's truck was staged, and for those that are maybe newer to the case, his truck was power washed. But something that we've been learning is that from recent interviews is a lot of people say that Dylan was actually the last one to power wash his truck. So then that leaves the truck being put in for low, which obviously none of the family would be able to, or the family and Dylan knew that the 4 low didn't work because the transmission was put in wrong. So, and then you have the seat being pulled forward, which could just be, if it was maybe they just robbed him and was thinking he had, a bunch of money on him, but he didn't, and now they're kind of just searching his truck. And but it is weird that the truck isn't 4 low, but yet supposedly there's no tracks, which is really weird. Because as you can see, especially it rained that Saturday and Sunday. I don't know about Monday. I'll have to look back, but I know Saturday and Sunday. Obviously Saturday because he told his grandmother he had to get the grain truck in because it was going to rain. There was actually some guys that were doing some checking some mines or something that were actually keeping tabs on the weather, and said that it rained pretty good Saturday and Sunday. But these washes, especially these ones that got the shrubs in them, oh my gosh. I mean, it would be so easy to hide something in these. We've come across a lot of these particular washes that are really, it's really frustrating because even flying a drone, you could fly right over something and not know it. So like I said, I've got it kind of zoomed in because like I said, there's these just little tracks that we've seen, so I've kind of got it zoomed in to where there's just any kind of tracks, and then along the walls of where maybe you might just want to maybe drop something off. But after we watch this is almost over. We'll talk a little bit about the timeline of Kurt and Robert, and then we'll talk about where I'm going to be heading. Dylan's pickup was washed Thursday. Question is, did it rain Thursday or Friday? Weather report says yes, but then why did Dylan park the grain truck Friday then? Unless it was parked in and then he pulled it out for some reason Friday to load it up or something, and then it's like, oh shoot, I need to go put it back, maybe? So maybe it was in the shed like Thursday and Friday, then either Friday and Saturday, or probably maybe that Friday afternoon, maybe loaded it up or something and then had it out. That's a good question though. Also motorhomes in the video that could be driven. True. Yes, there are. Yeah, we saw yeah, there are a couple of caves in these washes actually. We I was focused on one side of the wash, but yeah, there is I did notice that there was a few of those caves. Which is weird for a cave to be in a wash. You would think that would probably fill up real fast. So if there was a cave, oh my gosh, and they threw him in there in a wash, oh man, you would need cadaver dogs for sure. So this is almost over, and then we'll go over a little bit of timeline. There's a text message that Chase had messaged somebody on Facebook. We'll talk about for a minute. And I think it's kind of interesting if he was trying to establish an alibi with the whole going to Little Caesars. But yeah, just so many areas. It's like a needle in an ocean looking for this poor kid. And we've really tried to spread out different areas just to, and part of it is going off, some tips. Obviously these trailers were brought up by the friends of the family, so we wanted to check that out because they thought those trailers were pretty suspicious. And all these washes that we're looking at are right, they run right in front of those trailers there. So I think this is pretty much over. So, okay. Alright, let's see. Okay, so let's talk about our 3 persons of interest right now that I've kind of got on my radar. And so we got, of course, Chase Venstra, 41 years old. He is in court. Now, I understand he's got a hearing coming up, but I thought it was July 19th, but I could be wrong on that. If someone knows, please let me know. I might even try to make it to one of these court hearings coming up, especially the one for Jim if we're not out there since we're in Utah. Okay, I'm going to go over that in just a minute. Then we've got Robert, who we've been talking about, who's 38 years old. He's a Montello man. He's got a pretty good record, past record anyway. Dealing with drugs and stolen property. He's even eluded the authorities. And then I believe, is he still in court? Does anybody know? I think he's still in custody, right? Someone let me know. As far as I understand, he's still in custody. I could be wrong on that one, though. I know Chase and Jim are. And then we've got, of course, James, who's 58 years old. Of course, arrested for stocking ammo and firearms in Don's trailer. We learned that Don was kind of the one that, eluded the FBI to all this going on. And I know some people have been talking about Don, but I'll be honest, I've said this multiple times, just because he was kind of, Jim and Don were the first two people when we went out there and spoke to the locals. They're the first two people we really heard about. And more so Don than Jim. And Don, like I said, Don just seemed like he was a decent guy. And Don seemed just more laid back, even though they, Don was kind of let go and they had an argument. From what I understand, Don was like, he didn't care he was let go. He was like, hey, I'm going to go fishing, So other than that, and it sounds like he had some money, so it sounds like he didn't really, as far as motive, I think he's way down on the list, as far as any kind of person of interest in my eyes. So those are the three. Now, moving back to Chase. So, apparently Chase was picked up by Dylan, the whole thing that we heard about. The incident where he kind of stumbled out of the desert with no boots. He says he had boots on. And now, I forget his name. Somebody told me that he met up, we'll get into what he says. He says that Dylan took him to Montello. But I've seen somebody in the comments kind of change that up a little bit. I'll have to... If you can email me... where are you at? One second here. I saw someone's comment. Is it... Let me go back. Okay. Anyway, if I see it pop up, I'll ask him. But the person that was telling me about the vehicles and stuff, he could email me. Because it sounds like some of the timeline. But from what Chase says, is that he was dropped off in Montello on that Wednesday. So just pull up this little calendar here for just a second. I wish I had time to fill this out. So you have Wednesday where Chase supposedly stumbles out of the desert. Then he gets taken into Montello. Then you've got now it's Thursday that Dylan was last seen in person using his debit card at the Saddle Store. It was originally Friday, but now it moved back to Thursday. But Saturday morning, Dylan made his last phone call to his grandmother, or made a phone call to his grandmother early in the morning at 6:51 a.m. And then his phone last pinged at 3:41 a.m. or 3:41 in the afternoon, excuse me, which I think could be that call that apparently he had tried to make a call around that time to the property owner that where the grain shed location is at, and then left a voicemail. So I wonder if that that ping that they were able to acquire that you hear in the interview with the mother early on, I wonder if that ping is from that phone call where he's trying to call the property owner, which if that is the case, then you know that and especially if it's Dylan actually speaking into this voice recording, then you would know he's still alive at 3:41 p.m. Oh, so 241. Interesting. Thank you, Brookie. Interesting. Okay, I wrote that down, so that's updated. Interesting. So, okay, so moving to that little, which I think is some kind of established alibi with Kurt. And hopefully, guys, I'm going to try to zoom in on this. It is kind of choppy. Sorry, guys. I will read it out to you guys. So this was some kind of Facebook post. So explaining his situation. So Dylan stopped and picked me up Wednesday, which is the 25th. He gave me a short ride, said he was low on gas. He let me charge my phone, gave me a drink, and dropped me off. My son worked for him last year, so I've known him for a while. He had no fear of me. I had my boots on. I own property out there and was stranded. I was last seen when he dropped me off around 10 a.m. Wednesday on the 25th. I got a ride back home later that day. I was not out there Saturday at all and can prove it. A couple stores have me on camera, which I think is interesting, and that's supposedly the Little Caesars, from what I understand. So he's trying to say that, yeah, hey, I'm back in Little Caesars, northern Utah. But what's interesting is then he ends up with the interview that we just heard. And we'll play that one more time. Let me play that one.
Taken his mother's car. That is
okay, right.
It's been sitting in the town.
Okay, so this is about the
an
car.
audio
Robert
when he said they
Aviles.
need to check it. It's been sitting in the town this entire time. You know?
Robert Aviles' mother's car. That is the
Okay.
car that Robert drives. That is the car that we know he gave a ride to Chase in. That is the car that he put gas in on Memorial Day. He came into the little gas.
Okay, so just to let you guys know, Memorial Day, I'm sure you all know, but just in case. So Memorial Day is a Monday. So here he's saying, hey, I wasn't there on Saturday. I'm in northern Utah. Maybe trying to make it seem like he's over there this entire Memorial weekend. But now she's saying that Robert shows up on Memorial Day getting gas and is with Chase.
Station acting very, very fishy. The woman that works there, I've talked to her, and she said she knows he does drugs and he acts a little weird, but she had never seen Robert act the way he was acting. And then about 4 or 5 days later, he tracked her down on Facebook and started asking her, what day was it when I came in and bought gas and paid you with all that change? And started asking some really weird questions, and then admitted to her that he had Chase hiding in that car while he was putting gas in it.
Oh, wow.
Kind of weird.
That is weird.
So we're wondering why that car has never forensically been checked to find out. Because this gal that works at the gas station actually said to me, I am starting to wonder if they had Dylan in that car on that day also.
Wow.
They were acting very weird. So why has that car not been checked?
Has she said she told the FBI this, right? Did she call this in, or did anybody?
She did. I actually gave her the FBI's number, and I actually told the FBI guy that she would be calling and gave him her number also, so that it went both ways and they knew that they needed to contact each other.
Yeah, so I'm still looking into that, Bugsy. But it sounds like he was trying to establish that, hey, I'm back over here in northern Utah. I'm nowhere near Lucin. I'm on camera. Hey, it's almost like was that intentional, to get seen on camera. Look, hey, I'm over here. And now, as soon as he's done with that, he gets right back into town. And, this is when it goes down, maybe. Maybe Dylan was still live later into that Saturday evening, and then something went down. I don't know. Still trying to, like I said, it's tough for me, guys. I apologize because with me trying to get out there and search, kind of puts me behind on catching up on everything. So, and because there's been a lot of interviews lately, and it's like, oh my gosh, I wish I had time. And then plus I've got to, I've got my channel, I've got to, make sure I've got content for people. So, but I do find that interesting, that whole that whole thing with Chase and Robert, and I could definitely see the motive being money, and then them not realizing that they try to rob him, but he just didn't have that kind of money on him. Yeah, he got paid, but it's like sitting in a bank, whatever. Which they did say nothing has been taken from the bank. There's nothing missing as far as money from Dylan since he's been missing. So yes, I do need a sec. Oh my gosh. I wish I could show you my emails, but I don't want to keep anybody's, info out. But I'm like, yeah, I wish, because, I do pet time. I also try to help people out with missing persons. So I have requests all the time. And so it is tough. But I try to do as much as I can. Spugsy says, hope law enforcement did forensics on Robert's car. Yeah, somebody, Echo said that they did. I can't confirm that. But it'd be nice to look into if they did. Sounds like if they hadn't, maybe they have now. Gisla says, Gisla needs a secretary too. There you go. Yeah, we need secretaries. Okay, let's see, where are we at here? Let's see, so we're almost at an hour. So let's kind of give you an idea of where we're going to be looking at and why. Just and what's brought me as far as tomorrow. Like I said, the plan is to go out tomorrow. I don't want to say 100%. Things fall through. We were trying to get out this last weekend. With the second time we went out there, my car broke down. I bought a lemon, unfortunately, and didn't know it. Pushed it, and it's done. So my vehicle's done. All we have is my aunt's vehicle, and we don't want to push my aunt's vehicle. And so I'm gonna rent a car from Enterprise tomorrow. That'll be what we're gonna be doing, is renting a vehicle. And so, so here is a map of just everything. We've pulled this up many times, and so we've done a lot of searching. Here, a couple of, actually I can show you exactly where we've searched. So as you see these pop up, these are all the places we've searched. Now this is just estimate, it's not exact. All these little red spots are our little drone paths that we've flown. And as you can see, we kind of flew close to the green truck. We've flown close to the water hole. And then of course we flew a lot around the trailers here. We know that there's a lot of searches that have been gone since day one, or well, almost day one, in Bald Eagle Mountain, which is, there's a lot of mines up there. There's a lot of mines up in what is it, the Delano? Is it right there, I think? We got Ty up there, been searching. Another YouTuber out there searching on the Nevada side as well, which is great. But one of the things that piques our interest, and then of course we did some flights out this way, and one of the things that piques our interest is, you got to remember, FBI were out in Park Valley, and I think part of that is probably tracing the steps of Chase and some other things maybe as well. But when you look at it, there's really two main ways to go, as far as taking the highway. You've got basically east and west, or northeast and west. But you're either going to come into Montello, or you're going to funnel up northeast into Park Valley. And so, our last trip, we checked out some areas down here, and then I didn't get them all put in, but we also did another one up here, and we also did over here as well, which is Kelton. But my area of interest is this bad boy here, the Bovine Mountains, which has the Devil's Playground in it. It's a beautiful area, but it's huge, and there's a lot of mines in there. A lot. I'll show you just a small example. Oh, thank you so much, Crime and Justice, for becoming a member. You guys are awesome. You guys have an amazing team. Thank you so much. Wait, hold on. What? Hey, Chris, was there a corpse coming out of that dirt turned grave at the cemetery? The last one on the footage, crazy disposal. No. No. A corpse? No. That is a weird cemetery, though. It's the Kelton Cemetery. It's a ghost town now. It's right on the edge of the lake bed here. But, yeah, pretty creepy area. If you remember, you'll get to see the footage of that. It's pretty interesting. But anyway. So, as you guys know, we kind of work alongside with the search and rescue with the drone research. And she pointed out to me, she always keeps me up to date on any kind of flights that take place that might be of interest. And the one that really piqued my interest that she showed to me was on July 10th. And this is the one where it did that extra little loop near Park Valley. And as you can see, this is kind of the same path that you would kind of take. So as you can see to the right, this is an example of what you would set up for your drone when you're mapping out stuff. Of course, a drone doesn't need to... A drone can stop midair and just make right turns. So as you can see, it's almost identical to how if you were scanning something. So that's what they think as far as search and rescue, what she told me. And it was not for a fire, because the only fires during that weekend were there was one in Idaho and then somewhere down south, but there was nothing in Bovine Mountains or Park Valley. And then this one was very interesting as well. This one looks more like it would be for a fire, but there was no fire. So this was sent to me as well. And this was 4 days later, the 14th of July. And so that was only about 5 days ago. And so that's also up in the Bovine Mountains. This particular area is called George Peak. There's definitely some mines up in there. So this is a look at all the different mines that are up there. So here's George Peak. So that circle that we just saw would have been something about like right here. So as you can see, there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, and then anything that has a number means that I haven't zoomed in far enough. That means there's 4 mines just in this location here, 2 mines in here. And I would probably say it's probably even wider than that. So I'd probably say there's probably at least 10, 15 mines at this in this just particular area here. Now, the only thing is about George Peak is the way you'd want to go would be you actually, to get up to the peak of this Bovine Mountains, the way you'd want to get into it would actually, you would go up Highway 30, take 42, and then you'd actually go up into Idaho and then come in through the back, and then it's a lot easier grade to drive up, and then you would get up into the Peak Valley here. There are some roads that would take you up in that way, but I don't know how far you can go up with your vehicle. It looks like there are some roads that you could get up in there, maybe. Not sure. I mean, clearly there's definitely trails up there. I don't know. You might be able to make it through this one, it looks like. This one you could probably come in and travel up. Actually, that might actually, and so here's George's Peak right here. So that actually might work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a truck from Enterprise, and that way I can get up and handle some of these tougher terrain. But like I said, these are just some areas of interest. Devil's Playground is more over this way. Let's see. Devil's Playground, I think, is over here, kind of at the edge of the peak here. Really beautiful. But that's just kind of the plan for tomorrow. It's like I said, we will go live as we're on our way out there. Not sure if my cousin's come with me. He's got work, so not 100% sure if he's going to make it. But we'll see. But usually when it comes to doing drone flights, is we pre-plan everything before we go out. So we get out the map, and we actually, so say these areas that we searched prior, you know, what we do is we pull out Google Earth on our phones, and then we actually map out what we're going to do, because we know a lot of these places that we're going to are going to might not have service. So we want to make sure, because you know, I'm sure most of you guys know, you can download, if you're going to go somewhere, you can download the GPS. So that way if you're out of reception, you still have the GPS because it's pre-downloaded. So it's kind of the same concept of when you're mapping out areas. So that's what we like to do. Then I have a couple of people that I like to talk to before we go out as well. Will, oh, you're awesome. Gifted 5 memberships. That's so cool. Thank you so much. Mob Crew memberships. That's amazing, Will. Thank you so much, buddy. That's cool. You guys are awesome. So yeah, I think I'm sure I'll have somebody Sleo for sure. Just not sure who yet. Like I said, I'm not sure what my cousin's doing. I'll find out tonight. He's kind of got his new business going. That's Nick, of course. He's kind of my, I would say sidekick. I'm his sidekick, I would say. He's the Batman, I'm the Robin. So, yeah, I'm not sure. He might be out there, he might not. But, like I said, either way, I take very special precaution in what I do. We plan out everything a day ahead, you know, as far as just food, water, everything. Just so we're always ready. Need to put someone in the cells with Jim, Chase, Robert to see if one of them will talk. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully someone does. You would think that if there's at least 2 people involved, and let's say maybe one person's the murderer and the other person's just accomplished, you'd think you would just take the time and get the reward. I know there's a lot of times where they offer the reward if you're associated, as long as but I'm not sure how that works with this reward or not. Okay, I'm going to end the poll here. So most of you, about 70%, think the truck was staged. I think so. Yes, I did get a GPS. Yes, I do have a tracker. Yep. Yeah, we definitely come prepared for sure. Oh, let me check my phone real quick. And then for pets and stuff, I will be updating that as well. Thank you, Donna, for your PayPal. You're awesome. Kind of getting notifications late. If I miss somebody, I will definitely shut you out. Like I said, we'll go live. If I'm on the road, I'll go live. I'll shout everybody out if I missed you, if you donated. So with that, let me just look at the comments real quick. And like I said, we're going to try to get some people on the show. And then just a reminder, next Monday is my 1-year anniversary for being on YouTube. It's been almost 1 year since I started my YouTube channel. It's crazy. Have a little over 30K subscribers in 1 year. That's pretty good accomplishment. But I couldn't do it without the support from you guys. You guys are amazing. Oh, Karina. Yeah, so I meant like staged, like, yeah, if it was, the truck's put for low, if they make it look like a short person drove it, everybody's wondering everybody's height. So, yeah, that's what I meant by staged. Sorry, I guess I should elaborate, but yeah, that's what I kind of meant with that. So yeah, we're gonna try to maybe have Gizla on and maybe one other, and we'll have a kind of talk about where I started, and then we'll probably talk a little bit about doing rounds as well, at the end or something. So, but yeah, that'll be this Monday. So, so I think that is it. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody, for the donations. I love you guys. Thank you for helping me out with everything. And like I said, we should be live tomorrow, and we'll be out there, and we'll try to go live as we're on our way out there. So, thanks, Crime and Justice. You guys are awesome, and I appreciate everybody. So we're gonna do pet time now, and I will hopefully have a new pet time video up the next time I go live. So, thank you, True Crime. Yeah, keep working at it, and we'll try to have you on the show as well too. So, all right, I love you guys. Love you, Lady M. Love you, Jennifer. Love you all. I wish I could shout everybody out.